Citizens for Ethical Government presents Corruption Chronicles, a Utah political racketeering expose. In many ways, Utah leads the nation. But this state has a dark side, a blind side. Unfortunately, Utah is also known as the fraud capital of the country. What is it about this state that makes its citizens more gullible and vulnerable to shysters and con men? We become open to fraud when a desire to believe overshadows our critical thinking to judge, when the clothing of symbolism is palmed off as a front for something else. Closely tied to the fundamental right to vote is the citizen's right to know who is buying influence. Influence is bought as well as votes. Crooked politicians who promise one future but actually deliver something else are packaging the wolf in the proverbial sheep's clothing. We despise the bigotry of those who judge by the color of skin, yet it is even more shallow to judge by the clothing a man wears or a title. This is particularly true of symbolic political garb. We must judge by the fruits, what a man actually does, not just what he says or portrays himself to be. Recently, unfavorable but justified comparisons have been made between Utah politics and the scandals infamous in Chicago. The difference is Chicago expects Chicago. Political racketeering in Utah hides behind a different veneer and a false front. What happens when a very high level of public trust meets a high level of money, influence, and power? Welcome to Utah politics. Utah is only one of 4 states allowing politicians to take any amount of money from any source whatsoever. Now this is trust, however misplaced. The people and laws of Utah have only 2 requirements. Small requirements, really, when considering this huge amount of trust. First, the Republic of Utah requires that every political donation and every expenditure be run through a single personal campaign account, an open book, regularly reported. Second, the Republic of Utah requires that every campaign donation be used for campaign purposes. No commingling of funds and no personal use of funds. Ignore these 2 simple, easy-to-understand political rules backed by Utah law, and every distinction between bribe and campaign contribution becomes murky. So murky, in fact, they become indistinguishable. So who is breaking Utah law, laundering campaign donations, and not using only the single legally prescribed personal campaign account? Definition: racketeering. Traditionally, obtaining or extorting money illegally or carrying on illegal business activities, usually by organized crime, denoting a pattern of illegal activity. Should it bother the people of Utah that the very persons most empowered to enforce Utah law are lawbreakers? Should it bother the people of Utah that businesses and industries the public are most in need of protection from are the biggest donators to illegal PACs? Should it bother the people of Utah when the world Googles the name of our state's Attorney General under Wikipedia that 22 different media-covered scandals are associated? The governor of the state, although only in office less than 2 years, has collected a surprising amount of political scandal himself. Shouldn't all this bother the people of Utah? Apparently not. In Utah, completely trusting some politicians is the general rule. So what does all this mean? Here is the governor answering for a long list of what appears as pay-to-play politics, including taking an $86,000 campaign donation, which was put into an illegal PAC, by the company who would be awarded the winning bid on the largest public works project in Utah history. After bids were in, changes were made to the process to accept the bid of the largest donator to the governor's PAC, not the low bidder for the project. Here is the governor denying that he even knows who won the bid. This political amnesia or fabrication was exposed as he was next shown at the groundbreaking wearing a logoed hard hat of the company awarded the bid. Here is the state paying $13 million in hush money, seeking to silence a lawsuit from the company claiming that changing the bidding process after the bids were in was illegal and unethical. Here is the governor warning the media not to look too deeply at peril of losing advertising dollars. He stated at his damage control press conference, "And I will be spending $1 million in TV advertising the next few weeks." Here is the governor receiving 65% of the vote. Here is the governor swearing to uphold the laws of the state and nation, the oath administered by the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. All this while an election contest and unanswered verified petition charging votes were illegally counted is still open and before the courts and election enforcement officials. For the first time in Utah history, laws requiring an election contest be heard and determined within 30 days are ignored. And a full 17 months after charges are filed, all hearing of fact in court has been blocked. Is this political racketeering? You decide. The people of Utah are good, hard-working, friendly people that in general are honest and cannot imagine less in others. The predominant religion in the area, the LDS, or commonly called Mormon Church, has no paid clergy and is permeated by a spirit of volunteerism and free contribution, allowing unprecedented levels of charity work worldwide. Problems arise, however, when the symbolism of effective religion is crossed with unearned political trust. 10 years ago, the state faced a similar corruption bombshell as the worldwide Olympic scandal came home to roost in this state. This corruption could have been swept under the rug of a cover-up, ignored, or denied. Instead, the state chose to open up, investigate, and even admit fault where needed. What could have been just another commonplace scandal became a finest hour for our state and the nation. Does Utah today still hold the same commitment to ethical behavior and the rule of law? Will the people demand accountability? Will they choose to see ethical violations and choose leaders with integrity? The ultimate question is, will you?